You're listening to Making Money Online, the podcast that talks about how to make income with impact and have a thriving business. We don't just talk about business, we talk about everything that affects your business too. This episode is sponsored by our friends at Autumn. You know me. I'm all about finding new ways to work smarter and give my time to the work and people that matter most. But like every entrepreneur, I've had those weeks where I am stuck in the weeds, answering the same questions over and over, stepping in to fix things, and my absolute pet hate, having to chase people for updates. And sometimes things don't seem to move forward unless it's me stepping in, right? Well, I'm excited to let you know that I've discovered Autumn. That's AUTM. And honestly, it's unreal. The team at Autumn are helping us shape the next chapter of how we run our world so we can deliver even more impact. It's actually the first AI I've found that actually does stuff that I want it to do. It doesn't just answer questions, it takes action, connecting my emails, calendar, projects, team, everything. And it just keeps things moving. But best of all, it just gets on with the work without me needing to check or chase anything. No setup, no stress, no training. Autumn aligns perfectly with my mission. It's designed to give us back our headspace, our time, and our focus for the thing that really moves our business forward. And that matters most to me personally, the impact that we're making. Autumn is a great investment, sure, but more than that, it's what we all need to help us fall back in love with running our businesses. Trust me, it's going to blow your mind and you are going to love it. Head to autumn.ai/Lisa to save 50% on your first month and see for yourself why it's such a game changer. Ready to go further faster? Just autumn it. One of the things so many business owners worry about when it comes to visibility is trolling and how to deal with it. My next guest, Lea Turner, has, like me, had her fair share. I wanted to talk about how she deals with it and how we can all keep showing up, regardless of negative comments. Thank you for being here, Lea.
Thank you for inviting me, Lisa.
It's so nice to have you in a room. We see each other online a lot and we chat there, but we don't get to be in a room very often with each other.
Certainly not alone, no.
No, never alone.
There's always other people vying for attention, so it's lovely to be able to get a face-to-face conversation.
That's so true. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, I don't know whether you remember, but the very first time I met you in person was at Danny Wallace's event, the Big Festoon. I think it was 2 years ago, 2023.
Yeah.
I had just gone through my worst trolling period ever. I'd had threads on Mumsnet, Tattle and Reddit all in the same week during a massive launch.
Yeah.
And at that point 2 years ago, that was a big deal for me. Like I was used to being trolled inside the industry. That sounds awful, but I was very used to peers trolling me. I wasn't at all used to mainstream trolling, which is what that felt like how's it gone beyond the walls of online business? And I was actually on the stage and I ended up crying on that stage talking about like how it had affected me. And then you came up to me afterwards because you had also been trolled quite badly.
Yeah.
And you showed me like, I've been in Tattle, all of these things have happened to me as well. And it massively helped. And it really did. And that's why I wanted to talk about it here, because there are people listening to us right now at this moment who are sitting there not wanting to get out of bed because they're being trolled. Yeah. And every time I think about that, I want to help them. And I think it's really hard to help people. When I first got trolled, people said to me, who are already in the industry, don't worry about it. It won't happen to you. It just doesn't happen as much as people say. So I didn't worry about it. And then it massively happened and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was like, God, I'm the only person this happens to. There's something bad about me. And then when you came up to me, and weirdly enough on that same day, Jax Feely came up to me, said this happens to me all the time. Like you can't be upset or worried about this.
Yeah.
From literally that day onwards, I have not cared because I think, it must happen to all successful people and therefore it's fine.
I think it does happen to all successful people who have a presence online. Like, I don't think,
No.
If you're successful in your own right, but you're not, your presence isn't online and your business doesn't rely on that, you probably don't see too much.
No, that's true.
People don't know about you. Or if they're saying things, you're not there to see it anyway.
Which I prefer.
It would be nice.
Do that.
Maybe one day. But I don't know many people who have a big profile that haven't at some stage been trolled or cancelled or something. And it is something that you just have to you have to find a way in your head to be okay with it, and remember that I always say to people, especially like my clients, because when I was doing LinkedIn training, a lot of them were worried about, now LinkedIn, there's a lot less trolling than on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because there's a certain level of accountability. Your job, your previous jobs, your bosses, your clients, they can all see what's being said, and you'll see other people's comments. So unlike on a Facebook profile, you can shut it down and keep it private, right? So people beyond your list can't comment on it. Whereas on LinkedIn, you can't. You can do that, but nobody does.
A lot of the trolling I had was on anonymous forums like Mumsnet and Tattle, where you can be anyone.
That says enough about the person as it is, right? That they can't say it with their chest. They're never going to stand in front of you and say those things to you. They wouldn't dare. And that's because they don't really believe they're true.
Well, that's true. Well, I actually interviewed one.
Yeah.
That's true. So I found one that was a Mumsnet one.
Yeah.
And I got private investigator and found out who some of the people were. Some of them were people I knew really well. Really well.
Yeah.
I said, I've never told them that I know that it was them. Because I just assumed they got swept up. But one woman I didn't know. So I wrote to her, and I think I've told people on the podcast this before. And I wrote to her and said, look, I'm going to tell people, like, you've told everyone my address. You've told people where my kids go to school. You've said all these things. I'm going to tell people your address, all of the people that like me and follow me, unless you have a Zoom conversation with me. And she said, yeah. And I had a Zoom conversation, and it was an old lady, 65, I guess, 70 maybe. And she had curly grey hair, and she had a picture of her grandchildren on the side behind her. And I was my mind was blown, because I was like, oh, I expected a 25-year-old influencer, I've got to be honest. And I said, why do you hate me? And she said, oh, I don't. I really like everything you do. And I said, what happened? Why have you said these things? Part of the crowd. She said, I felt like I belonged for the first time in so long.
My overarching feeling towards people that do that is just pity, because I think, firstly, happy people don't behave like that. If you are happy in your life, there is not a single day of my life that I've thought, hey, I know, I'm going to go be mean to a stranger on the internet.
Let's go and troll someone.
The only time I've ever been mean to or objectively mean to a stranger on the internet is to defend myself or someone I care about. And I've never done anything worse than they've done to me, ever. I did have a man sacked from his job.
Did you?
For sexually harassing me on LinkedIn, yeah. His first ever message to me was, lovely tits, Lea, kiss, kiss, heart. And his profile photo was him in scuba gear. And I found his wife on LinkedIn, whose profile photo was the other half of that photo.
Oh my God.
But he worked for United Utilities or Utilities Warehouse or something. He was one of the reps that goes out to people's houses. So I just posted his message. I didn't even reply to him. I posted a screenshot of his message, tagged in his company, and tagged in his wife, which I actually untagged her because I felt a bit rotten about that. But I tagged in him and the business, and he lost his job. And as it turned out, he'd actually been reprimanded for inappropriate behavior with colleagues.
Oh, wow.
So, and I had messages from other people that had worked with him saying thank you because we hated working with him. I was like, oh my God. And the company, they apologized. They were really great about it. They immediately dismissed him. But you can't do that on LinkedIn without potential. And it's not the first time. I had a guy who was a partner of a massive law firm in London, messaging me, wanting pictures of my feet and wanting to fly me to the Maldives on his jet and buy me the boutons. And I was like,
you can do that for a picture of my feet.
No, he looked like a thumb. I was like, but no, I just that's not really the sort of trolling side of it. That's more the sexual harassment side. But that also happens as a woman online.
Yeah, we get lots of it.
And as a woman who puts herself out there as a single mum. So, there's that certain expectation, but I take them to task. And I have done, since I first started on LinkedIn, I think my first ever viral post was when someone DM'd me asking me what my favorite position was. And I replied CEO.
Brilliant.
Obviously, the classic. And I screenshot it and it went massively viral. I blocked his name out partly. I wasn't very good with Canva back then, so you kind of could see it a little bit, but I didn't realize until I posted it. And so he got trolled for that a bit. But I was like, if you're not willing to have a message posted publicly, but if you're going to send a message to a stranger, you need to make sure that message you would be happy to be shared publicly, effectively.
That is the best way, always.
If you're going to send a message that's a little bit questionable.
It's why people do things anonymously, because they would never, you're right, they would never stand in front of me and say these things that they say. Like, some of them were quite funny. Like, we have had some quite funny comments. I
love the creative ones.
Yeah.
I had a guy who joined the community. So I run a membership community, and he joined the membership community. And you know when someone joins, and you must get this now, and you're just like,
yeah.
And there's no real, but there was something
thing
about, I was like, not sure about this person. And I went, and 3 weeks after joining, and he'd asked loads of questions, he'd been offered loads of support in the community, and he sent an email saying the community wasn't what he was looking for, and he wanted a refund and his account cancelled. I was like, well, actually, there are no refunds. No. But your membership ends at the end of this week anyway, and it won't be renewed if you've cancelled it. And he then sent me like a really aggressive email, which was all mistyped, even though he said he was a copywriter. So I went and looked at his LinkedIn profile, and his last post had been a threat why he got kicked out of his job because he'd threatened his boss, like threatening that he would put him on a gravestone or some weird.
He had form.
So I was like, this is odd. But clearly he'd only come into the community to get as much as he could for free, and then think if he if he had a tantrum, he'd get his money back. And I ended up refunding him for a week. Not because I had to, but because I knew it would make him more mad.
Yeah, kindness.
Yeah. Well, I was like, if I refund him just for a week, like I've done more than I have to.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. The T's and C's doesn't mean like it says no refunds. It's a monthly contract. You sign up, you don't renew. That's fine. So I didn't have to do anything, and so he sent me this email then demanding that he wants a full refund and it's a joke and getting really aggressive. And so my lawyer stepped in. He's like, you've not heard the end of this. And my lawyer's like, right, cracks his knuckles. Here we go. And for clarity, I don't pay my lawyer. I send masses of clients to my lawyer, and he refuses to let me pay for anything. So he's like, cracks his knuckles. He's like, this is going to be great. Writes him this absolutely ruthless but polite, when someone's just like the way only lawyers can do it. And said that all correspondence needs to go through him now. And I was well within my rights to not offer a refund, but I have, which was really good of me. And I didn't hear anything back from him. Then he starts emailing my team, and he thinks he's being anonymous, but we knew because of the erratic
the way typing. They write.
And plus I don't get any hate towards the community anyway. And he said that it must be, can we swear on this?
I can excuse it.
It must be awful working for a C word like me. And I look like I smell of pissy mayo.
It's the pissy mayo that is brilliant.
I was like, I look like I've been stood outside a kebab shop at 3 a.m. in Leeds. What is pissy mayo? It was so creative.
I've had some really creative ones. Somebody said I look like a cross between Claudia Winkleman and Alan Partridge. I had a fringe at the time, which I quite like. The love child of, they said. We all get it's OnlyFans. They're only making their money through OnlyFans. Every time
I'm in a newspaper article, people assume I must do OnlyFans to make money. I'm like, I would not make this much money on OnlyFans.
No, but if I could, I'd consider it.
Yeah, sure, my feet are anonymous. Crack on.
We've had some really creative ones. And in the end, like with that kind of anonymous trolling, it became funny. So we ended up making T-shirts out of ours and selling them, and proceeds going to.
So that was the idea that came off of our conversation.
Yes, because you said that you use it as content. And I was like, okay, how can I do that? How can I use it as content? And I was like, well, people are always asking me to make T-shirts. So I put them all on T-shirts. So people are walking around in T-shirts that says, you look like the love child of Alan Partridge and Claudia Winkleman, and all these different quite funny T-shirts. And then we'd take the money and we'd give it to police. And that helped me loads, because I was like, okay, they now work for me. They don't even know it, but they work for me. They're my content creators.
You've taken their power away.
Yes. And then I didn't mind. And what I loved about it was, so you had a ripple effect that you didn't know, because you told me that. I then did the T-shirt thing for everybody. And then people were coming up to me who were really scared of being trolled, and they'd get trolled and they'd go, I've got a thing, I can put it on a T-shirt. And they were putting it on a T-shirt because it was like, I'm now part of that club where I can put it on a T-shirt.
Yeah, look, I've made it. I've got a troll.
Yeah.
We get that all the time in the Holt. People are like, I've got my first troll. I've made it. And it's like, it's now a badge of honor.
Yeah.
If you don't get a troll, like especially especially when people get on LinkedIn, they get this isn't Facebook brigades if they post a selfie or there's something about their kids, and you get this isn't Facebook guys, and it's inevitably they just go, oh, I've got one. It's an award, and they'll post a screenshot and be like, brilliant, I've got my first Facebook.
And I have mixed feelings
troll.
about that, because I think we've had to come to a place where we're like, it is a badge of honor to get one, when actually it's really mean and it shouldn't be. It's bullying.
It is, but I think with anything, I personally turn to humor a lot. If there's like, I'm the person that you'll tell me something really tragic, and an inappropriate thought will be the first thing that pops itself into my head. I remember a neighbor of mine, his brother got in trouble for having a conversation with a girl that he didn't know was underage, which resulted in some vigilantes turning up at his door. And I'm not excusing the guy, but the profile that he was speaking to was actually a vigilante group with a photo of a 22-year-old girl who only then in conversation identified herself as supposedly this 14-year-old. And so he'd cut it off. But anyway, that's beside this point. But a few weeks later, the neighbor of mine says to me, oh, he's got a new girlfriend. I went, oh, how old is she? I was like,
you're not allowed. Don't say that.
Those are the things that come out of my mouth before my head engages.
Yeah.
So I always turn to humor when I'm uncomfortable.
And you did with your trolling
all the time.
So you took that to new heights, because you actually went and did a stand-up gig at the comedy club.
Yeah. So I got a message from this guy, Ian, who runs Agency Hackers, which is like a big marketing community. And he's like, do you want to, this is a crazy thing to ask, but do you want to come and do a comedy set at the London Comedy Store? And every part of me went, no, why would I do that? I'm not a comedian. That is terrifying. But also I tend to say yes to things that are once in a lifetime opportunities, because I'm like, I'm never going to get to do this again. Even if it's scary, I'm just going to say yes. I'll figure it out. So I didn't know what I was going to do a comedy thing about. And then I was talking with their Beth Sherman, who wrote for The Ellen Show. She's done, I think it was at SNL. So she's a brilliant writer. And so we were talking about what we could do for this set. And I was like, well, what if we did like, which American show is it? They do mean tweets.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
yeah, I
was like, well, what if you pull a load of the mean things people have said about me online and then put them up on the screen for me to read out in front of the audience. And then you just get my like live real response to it. So that's what she did. And she just pulled up a load of like comments across like Reddit and places about things people had said about me over the years. And it was funny.
Yeah.
And I got paid $3,000 to stand on stage for 20 minutes. And I used that to buy a all-inclusive holiday for me and my son to Mexico. And I was just like, how good is that?
Paid for it.
I was like, oh, cheers.
Yeah,
like,
you have to make a way that it works for you, right?
I find that, and whether it's a cash incentive or doing something good, because I've done it as well. There was when I first started getting well known on LinkedIn and my profile started going, there was a group of white male marketers that did not like that I'd walked into their arena, overtaken them, and was getting loads of clients and success. And my profile grew rapidly on LinkedIn really, really fast. And they hated it. And there was like a whole bitchy WhatsApp group dedicated to slating me that one of my clients accidentally ended up in because she was part of their friendship group and reported back like everything that had been said in there. And I was like, how sad is it that you're so intimidated by me walking into your arena? If you're not, if I'm doing it better than you, learn from me.
Yeah.
Or how can we support each other? We could have collaborated. We could have actually helped each other, but they chose to be dickheads about it. So I'd posted something and they'd posted some nasty comments, like not nasty as in like really bad trolling, but like jibes at me in the comments. But my post went viral. So then I took some of the nasty comments that they'd said about me and used it as content, but I didn't put their names on it. And that went viral. And then I got loads of clients. I must have made like 10 plus grand in new clients from just those two posts. The one where they trolled me and then the one about the trolling. So I donated a chunk of money to the National Bullying Helpline and was like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
And then posted about that, which also went viral, which as a consequence, got so many people in my DMs going, I love how you've handled this. You've done it with such grace, such humor, and it's really made me feel more confident in standing up for myself.
Yeah.
And for me, if you've got something negative and you create something positive from it, it completely neutralizes it in my
it's
brain.
been worth it. Me too.
I'm like, so the shitty way that made me feel has actually created something really positive for other people and for me, but more for me, it's more focused on other people. So therefore,
so what? Yeah.
now it's worth it.
It can make you money. Like, you know, when people say like, there's no such thing as bad PR. So when I never believed it really. When I got that Mumsnet trolling, there were 50 pages about me on there. And I know,
you
like,
really are hated.
Yeah, why? Like, I've never really understood it.
It must be really awful when you're on your yacht trips in your private jet buying your, it's like, please don't troll me anymore. Wiping my eyes with my 50s.
They were just saying random stuff like she's definitely a pyramid scheme. Some people are making stuff up like, I've had problems with her in the past. She did this. And I'm like, I've never met this person in my life, like random things because they want to belong, I suppose. And it's something easy to do. And because I think it is hard for people to see success. I've been in that position where I've looked up and seen somebody successful and I've been really trying and it's not working. And I get the envy that can come from that. I would never have done anything to make them feel bad about it, but I get the envy. These people just take it a step further. But those posts made me 14,000 in the first week of them being there. And they've probably made me more since, I don't know. But the amount we know it made was because people came to me and I said, where have you found me from? And they said, a Mumsnet thread. So they've seen the trolling. They've seen this thread. They've gone, she sounds awful. Let's go and look at her. They've come over to look at me, liked me, bought something from me. And so it's actually not, it's never really been a bad thing.
No.
I think it's only bad when it's your peers or someone that you liked. And I think kind of thing.
When it really hurts, and the only time it really hurts is if you believe some of the things that they're saying. If they're criticizing your weight and you are self-conscious about your weight, it's going to hurt. It's going to really hurt. But if they're criticizing you for being a terrible person and you go to bed every night and you sleep soundly because you know you've done good for the world and you've helped people, that's not going to work. Like, people have accused me of being a narcissist. I'm like, I'm literally the most generous and giving person that most of my friends know. It's something that people say all the time, that she's always trying to help others. She spends her whole life working to help other people. Like, there's no way. But yes, I talk about myself online. It's called branding. It's called marketing.
You have to.
If I talk about other things, people are less interested and engage less. But when I talk about me,
of course,
if I can twist it in a way that also benefits others, great.
Yeah.
But I know that works. It's not because I want to tell everybody every detail of my life. It's because when I do share what I'm comfortable with, it works and it makes me money and it builds trust with people. So I never grew a profile online because I wanted to be famous. I'm a terrible introvert. I hate the attention, and it's something that I've had therapy to help me deal with because it doesn't come naturally to me.
No. I think it's hard when there's two versions of you as well. So like my friend group would say the same thing, like the people around me, and often people that work with me say the thing that people don't say about you is you're really kind and you're generous. Like, it's not something that people say online about you. So I didn't know that about you until I worked with you. Yeah. And it's because there's a different narrative online, and it's, ballsy and strong and all the things, but it tends not to go into the areas where you're softer, where you're more in your feminine, I think, when you're a CEO.
But you can be both. Of
course you can.
Because I would say, I mean, I haven't reached the level of like financial success and with a whole team of employees that you've got. But I would say that I've somehow managed, and it's not really been with any strategy, although I am seen as ballsy and I don't take any shit from people, I am still seen as someone who's very like kind and giving. And that's probably why I've built the community that I've built. Yeah. But it's one of those, like, I am both things. But then I've also been seen very much as a single mum who loves her son, and he's been a big part of my brand. So I guess people have seen that softness.
Seen that side of you.
From the get-go.
I think I didn't show much softness in me from the get-go, because
as women, we're told that's dangerous to do.
That's why I was told, you have to, if you're going to compete against
you have to be a man in a man's world.
Yes. And I was in corporate and banking, so you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so when I came online, I was the same as that. And it's taken me a long time to be able to show that softer side, that vulnerable side, because it's seen sometimes as weak.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to ever appear as weak. But actually you can be both. And I am both in real world. I'm a boss and I'm also someone that's a kind friend and those kind of things. So we do show both. But yeah, it's crazy though, how there are people out there who really want to be visible. They know they need to be visible because you can't be in this business without being visible. Yeah. And they can't do it because the fear that they'll get trolled. And I just want people to realise that, especially anonymous trolling, it doesn't mean anything.
It's still something that holds me back from like going on TikTok and YouTube. I've not really explored it. Not because I'm worried about what they'll say, because I really don't care. But I'm worried about more the energy that it will take from me to manage
it does take
visibility
energy
in other places. Like if I were to build a TikTok and it were to do well, or YouTube and it would do well, I know that that's more visibility for me where I'm not really, I don't want to be famous. And it, you know, although I don't get approached incessantly, I have been on holiday and someone's randomly recognized me and I am walking down the street and someone would be like, oh, and it's not constant, but I never know when it's going to happen. And it always, I'm like, oh, it makes me feel unsafe.
It makes me feel like, what was I doing 2 minutes before? That's what I always think.
And I'm like, I don't want to snap at my son in public because what if someone's watching and they think, oh, she's not as nice as she seems online. Someone took pictures of me. I don't mind when people come over and say, hi, I know you from that. I love that. Yeah.
What I don't like, and this has happened now about 4 times, people take pictures of me and then send me those pictures and say, look, I saw you when you were out. And I'm like, I don't know what I was doing at those times. Was I having a go at one of the kids? Or
the weirder one, when someone swears they've seen you in London Piccadilly and messages, I'm like, I wasn't there. That wasn't me. And I'm fairly distinctive. So the fact that someone like thinks they saw me, I'm like, really, do I have a doppelganger somewhere?
Person could have done something bad and it would have been you.
Oh no, it's just it's that never knowing. Like
who's watching?
I'm at the airport and someone's looking at me now. Are they looking at me because they like what I'm wearing? Is it they're intrigued by the tattoos? Are they just, can they recognize me from something? I don't know. And I'm such an anxious overthinker that I'm like making up all scenarios in my head. And I had one guy making death threats, which was that was during COVID. And he was very unwell, let's say. And I was it was the strangest thing because I got a message from him on LinkedIn, but before I'd replied, he'd blocked me. And it wasn't anything untoward. Then I got a slew of messages on Facebook accusing me of intercepting his post. And he was in New York and he was accusing me of intercepting his post and stealing his items. And I was like,
yeah, he's just not well.
I've never shopped at Nordstrom and I'm not in your country, so I don't know why you'd think. And then he got really angry and then blocked me. And then I got a load of messages in my other folder on Instagram, but then they got really weird and he was sending like videos of himself speaking to me like he knew me and threatening to, it's like, I know you live on your own, he sent a video of a woman in a dark room screaming. It's like, this is going to be you. I know you live alone with your son. I was like, stood in my bedroom. I remember exactly the spot I was stood in on a Sunday afternoon and I was like shaking at that point. And the only thing that made me feel more safe was that it was during COVID. So there was no way this person was getting on an airplane. But then one of my clients, I logged into their LinkedIn account because I was like helping manage their LinkedIn account at the time and looked at his LinkedIn profile and he'd posted like pictures of me saying he was going to shoot anyone associated with me, that like making threats, not just to me, but there was a man that he was also making these threats to. I was like, this is wild. And LinkedIn actually escalated it through their imminent threat department.
Wow.
As a terror threat because he posted photos of guns and said he was going to kill people. And I was like,
this is the problem though. There is, we laugh about the trolling. There is a darker side. There is a security issue. We had a guy 4 years ago now who became a stalker. And at first, as usual, they always seem really nice and they're like, oh, can I come and take pictures of you? And he showed me a picture of him with somebody I knew. So that made me feel like he was not a threat. And then he was around me for a while and then he started to infiltrate my entire audience by saying he was best friends with me. I didn't know this at the time. People told me afterwards. And in the end, he was turning up at my house and it was really scary. And he was threatening that he was going to kill himself because he was in love with me and if I didn't talk to him and all of this kind of stuff. And in the end, we had to escalate it to the police and that side of things. But there is a security side. Like I've been asked to go on Rich House, Poor House more times than you can imagine. And I won't go on it because it literally shows where your house is.
Yeah, I had the same. The Mirror wanted to do an article about me having gone from like being on benefits to buying a house during COVID. And one of the requirements was to have a photo of me and my son outside my house. I was like, absolutely not. And I never put anything online that shows the front of my house at all. Like I don't show my registration plate. I don't show my son's school. Like I'll never have anything that shows like his uniform badges. And I'm, I tend not to tag places that I'm at until I've left them.
I do that.
And I'm probably being overcautious.
That's better.
But there's so much, like I was even concerned because I started getting, I had phone calls from a recruiter at like 4 o'clock in the morning. He'd messaged me on LinkedIn, sent me a load of text messages. He was coked off his brain, 4 o'clock in the morning, said, I've never spoken to the guy. And he just got my number off LinkedIn because it was my business number. And I quickly removed that. And that was the last time my phone numbers ever appeared publicly online. But that was like, that was the first time I realized that what I was doing could be real outside of my little, like just because I shut the laptop doesn't mean I cease to exist, and they cease to exist. And I think I got lost in that bubble a little bit.
You can easily.
Yeah, you can. You forget that these are real people. And because I grew my platform very much during COVID lockdown, none of that existed. The outside world did not exist. And it wasn't until lockdown lifted and I started going out again and I started realizing like people were recognizing me. This is really weird.
It's weird.
I hadn't thought about that because if I had, I probably wouldn't have done it.
No.
I probably would never have done it if I'd realised that I would be recognisable.
I never thought I'd care, but it is a bit weird.
Yeah.
It is a bit weird, but we cope with it.
Yeah.
But what's the answer then to anyone that's scared of this happening to them? Is the answer that we can't be afraid of being trolled. We can't be afraid of different people's opinions of us online or being challenged or any of those kind of things, because otherwise we'll stop. And let's be honest about it. People are scared of being cancelled. It's one thing I don't care about at all. But some people are scared that if they say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, they're going to get cancelled.
Yeah.
Or if there's enough people saying bad things about them online. If that were true, I would be cancelled by now. Like, I don't really believe that there is such a thing as being cancelled.
I think the majority of people can come back from it. I think obviously it depends what you've been cancelled for. I think there are some things that are very difficult to come back from, and some people probably don't deserve to come back from it.
No, but I mean, when you're not a bad person.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? When you're a good person with good intentions, if you do something bad and you know that you've done something bad and you take accountability publicly and say you're sorry, then you can recover. It's when people double down and refuse to acknowledge any part in and won't take accountability that it becomes like, I've said things on in social media posts before, and then I've gone afterwards not sure about that one, and there's been a bit of pushback on it, and I've gone, do you know what, I screwed up. I wrote that without thinking it through properly, and I was really frustrated when I wrote it, and it's not actually what I mean, and I'm sorry if what I said hurt anyone. And having that humility and belief that you are a good person, and if you're honest and just say, I screwed up,
it's all about intention.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like, generally speaking, you will be all right. But it's when people say, or for me, what I perceive in the media, it's when someone says something and won't take accountability, like Prince Andrew, or not Prince Andrew anymore.
No, Andrew.
He's refused to say I had any part in it. I didn't do anything wrong, but I paid this woman off lots of money to keep quiet. Like, if not saying anything he's done is right, it's not, but the world probably would have gone a bit easier on him if he'd at least said, do you know what, I've done something really wrong, I shouldn't have been associated with. We wouldn't forgive him if obviously everything is true, but because he just flat denied absolutely everything and took zero accountability, people will be a lot more ruthless with him, and there won't be any coming back from it. No. It's probably not the best example to use, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
people make mistakes, and we will forgive people for being human, but we won't forgive people for not admitting they're wrong. But
people have definitely tried to cancel people when they haven't done anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've just seen it's happened to a lady on Threads because she had a really big, she was brilliant, like her story about her terrible neighbour. And all of her documents, everyone was following all these stories about her terrible neighbour. And so she started writing children's books to try and fund the legal battle with the neighbour. And she doesn't have the money to like publish properly. So she'd used like an AI thing to create her book cover. She's been cancelled.
Oh, wow.
So many people got so angry that she just left the platform. She was like, I can't take this. And so many thousands of people were enjoying her stories every day. And she was just trying to make money for her family. And people have gone so hard on her for using AI to create a book cover. I get it, because it's obviously a lot of it is stealing from artists. But this is a woman that hasn't got the resources to pay an artist.
And just because we disagree with something doesn't mean we should cancel people.
Yeah.
Like, we can disagree and go, oh, I don't agree with that, without going, and therefore you must be cancelled and no one must ever buy from you again.
But the world's never going to move forward unless we have those difficult discussions and find where there's a middle ground, because people are never going to agree, but people can learn from each other's perspectives so that they can coexist more peacefully. And I think there's a really good example of that inside my community, because we have people from all different walks of life, religions, ethnicities, countries, languages. We've got a really, really diverse range of people. Like, our youngest member's 24 and our oldest is 72.
We've got that. We've got a 16-year-old and a 75-year-old.
It's incredible.
I love that.
But if people don't agree on things, they either just don't join that conversation, or they privately have a conversation to understand each other. They're seeking to find a way to understand each other, because that's how you grow as a person. You might not ever agree. And that's not really the purpose of it. It's to say, I understand your perspective well enough that I can accept it and I can still respect you.
We can't all agree.
No,
it's
how
okay.
boring would the world be?
Like, it can't be that. And often we put ourselves in echo chambers, I think, where everyone agrees with us, so we think we're right. But actually, that's what is good about memberships. Like, both you and I have a membership. You do get a whole community. You can't have 1,000 people in a membership and not have diverse opinions.
Yeah.
And I like that. We've never had an argument in our membership ever.
Nor have we. No,
It's been
we've
9 years.
had 4 people that we booted out.
Did you?
Over the last 3.5 years. 4 people, not all for bad behaviour. One of them was extremely rude to one of my team. One of them was sales pitching everybody in the DMs. Like, out you go. Yeah. Someone was being bitchy and unkind about one of our other members, and spreading lies that was damaging or attempting to damage that person's business. And I was like, absolutely not. No. Neither of them are particularly present in the community, but I was like, I don't trust having someone who's known to do that inside the community. And what was the other one? There was one that I'd paid for a trip up Kilimanjaro, who turned out to be scamming loads of people.
Oh no, there's so many scammers out there at the minute.
So many. Yeah.
But that's because you need to protect your energy. And when you have a membership, you have to show up in there all the time, and you can't show up somewhere where there's bad energy. I think it's really hard to do. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's okay to curate your spaces.
Yeah, I got, when one of those people was kicked out, I got an angry email from him saying, you think you're God of Holt. I was like,
well, you are sort
kind of am. It's my world that I've created, and I'm inviting people into it. And if they're coming into it, they are expected to behave a certain way. And what I've noticed is actually, it's making me a better person, because I want to be better to rise up to how great they are. And I feel like we become better people when we're around better people.
Yeah, we do.
And I am a better person because I want to be the best leader that they can have. So I'm constantly trying to level myself up. I'm being kinder. I'm being more patient. I'm being more tolerant. Sometimes someone will say something and in my head, I'm like, oh. But my response is actually much more rational. And I'm like, I am becoming a better person. I'm not being inauthentic. I'm being mature and going, my first initial reaction isn't actually always the one that I want to have. Yeah. It's just my chimp brain.
Because we grow.
Yeah.
We grow. And I think that having a community it's inspiring for us, because it does make you do that. Like, we've changed our whole business this year. We've changed my whole attitude to all of it. It's all about impact over income, because I want to be the best for them. And if I'm talking about money all the time, I'm going to create little money monsters. I'm not going to create people that are doing massive world-changing things. And actually, that is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I have to change to be the change for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's only a good thing.
Yeah. I think who I am as a person has come on so much, and it's probably why I get trolled a whole lot less online these days. Is I know that I'm becoming a better person every day, and I feel that, and it's because they deserve to have me, and my son deserves to have me as that. And that my friends who knew me in my 20s, before all of that, would be like, who are you? Because I'm still me, but I've discovered my purpose and what makes me happy. And the things that make me the most happy is helping other people achieve things like I've done, and seeing how happy they are and how proud of themselves they are and their confidence improve, and seeing them interact with one another. Yeah. That's my favorite thing about running a community, is seeing all of the collaborations and the friendships.
They make friends. Like we've had people that are bridesmaids for each other.
That's so cute.
Because it's been a long time, like it's a 9-year membership. So yeah, people have.
I could imagine that will happen with some of ours. Yeah, some of them have just got the most beautiful relationships. They meet up. You know, they've got business collaborations happening and all sorts. And the worst thing about running a community is I don't know all of it, and I want to know because I'm so nosy. Just tell me all of it.
Let's talk about your business a bit, because I've seen this year, like you gave away, like you didn't give away, you sold it, the LinkedIn side of your business.
Yeah.
And you were doing quite a lot of different things, and you were known for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then you really concentrated on the membership, and everything I've been talking about to my audience this year is you need to simplify your businesses. So you're concentrating on 1 to 3 things, but one main thing.
Yeah.
And we've done that with our business. We've taken ourselves from 4 million a year to 2 million a year, really concentrated on the things we really want to do, the things that will make an impact. And I've seen that with you. And there's not many people that you can really see online are completely happy with their business. I'm still not yet completely happy with where I want this business to be. Yeah. But you seem to be.
I think the difference, and obviously I don't know where you're at with it, but when I started on LinkedIn, I was running a business that didn't pay all my bills. I was relying on government support. I was making between £1,200 and £1,400 a month, working sometimes 60 hours a week with a 4-year-old at home. And I'd been doing that since before he was born, but I didn't work so much because I didn't need as much money when I didn't have him. So for me, when I started using LinkedIn and I was suddenly getting all these clients for my little transcription business, and I was expanding and bringing in freelancers to help me, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And look at me, I've made £2,000 this month. How amazing is that? And that was enough for me. Like I could pay all my bills, and I had a little bit left over, and I could squirrel a little bit away just in case, the car broke down or something. And then when COVID hit and I started LinkedIn training, I went from earning about £100 in a 10-hour day to making £99 in an hour. And I went, oh, that's unbelievable.
It's brilliant.
So I started doing loads of them. And I was suddenly like, oh my God, I've made £5,000 in a month. This is amazing. Like, this is more money than I've ever seen in a month. And then it just snowballed, and it hit £100,000 in 10 months. And from someone who was literally putting things back at the supermarket checkout, going, I can't afford all of this. I'm going to have to sacrifice these things, get the cheaper shampoo, for me, earning, there was one month that I was making over £50,000 in just LinkedIn training. That was before the Hulk came along. And I was like, it would have taken me 5+ years to earn that previously. And God knows how many thousands of hours. But I realized that I was no happier when I had the money. There was less stress. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being that privileged little girl that says, oh, money doesn't make you happy. Yeah. Money gives you a lot of choices, and it can really take that stress off you, which is a lot easier to be happy when you know that your electricity bill is paid at the end of the month. But it wasn't giving me any personal satisfaction going into corporates and training groups of people and charging $5,000 a day. It was cool for my ego. And I was like, look at me. But it wasn't doing anything for me deep inside. And I was split 2 ways. I really wanted to grow the community because I could see much more of a long-term plan with it. And LinkedIn was so dependent on the LinkedIn platform that I don't own. Yeah. And I don't own my data on there. And at any point I could potentially have my account banned, which has happened before.
Happened to people. Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is, if I'm going to pick one, and I need to pick one, it's got to be the community, because that really fulfills me. And as much as it sounds crazy, like charging people $2,000-3,000 for LinkedIn training, these are people that can afford it. This isn't like struggling single mums. These are people that, they have the money to invest in this. And I wouldn't accept, I'd never took payment plans. It was one payment, pay it up front. If you can afford it and you're willing to do it, great. Yeah. But I'm not going to encourage you if, you're putting it on your credit card, because for me, I just couldn't reconcile with that. And I couldn't guarantee they get results because they have to do the work, right? Yeah. So I just sort of thought, well, I can help one person and charge $2,500, or what if I could help hundreds of people and still make enough to live? And once the Halt got to that point last year, I realized that I was still making enough with the Halt to pay the team, to pay myself, and to have a bit of extra. And I didn't need to be going, oh, well, I'm making $500,000 a year. I didn't need $500,000 a year. All it does is give me tax headaches. I can't be arsed with it.
You actually got to a point where I should have stopped. So you got to that point quicker. So I kind of got to this really happy place where I was making around $1 million to 2 million a year. I was really happy. There was no stress, no team. It's just me. It's fine. Then I did that. Well, if I can make this, I'm an ambitious person, I can make more, and did, and kind of doubled everything. And with that came stress. So the stress that the money took away from being able to pay the electricity bill, we've had the same background, you and I, of poverty, suddenly then ended up in a place where actually I've just got stress here instead. And there is a balance, I think, that we have to find. But it's really hard to tell people that when you've made the money, because people go, well, it's all right for you to say that.
Oh, let me get out my little violin. Like, I get it, because I would have been the same. You can't, no one's expecting sympathy, but it's perspective, isn't it? Like, for me, another big driver for me to let go of the LinkedIn training was my son. I had this deep feeling inside me that I was being pulled in too many directions. And there was so much external noise of people. Well, you could do speaking work internationally because you've got this big audience. You could do this, you could do that. You could create a LinkedIn training academy. You could franchise it. I was like, God, that sounds awful.
It's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of people that I'm relying on beyond me, that I've got to trust and quality control and all of that crap. It's like, no, I don't want to do any of that. And again, it still relies on LinkedIn. And I was literally, the whole point of me starting using LinkedIn originally was that I wanted to get more higher paying clients. That was like the building surveyors that I used to transcribe for. They paid, the work was quicker, and I got more money for my time working for them than I did for the doctors. So I went on to LinkedIn with the view that I want to get more building surveyor clients so I can work less hours and still make the same amount of money and have more time with my son, who starts school next year. So this is like the last year that I'm going to have before he starts school. Then by the time he starts school, I want to work 9 till 3 and not work outside.
That's why
of that.
I work now.
That was the point, right? That was the whole point. And then I got swept up by possibility and opportunity.
It's so easy to, though, because you can do so many things, and you think about, you're doing it for them.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, I could have all of this and that could be given to them.
Yeah.
And so you are doing it for good intentions and good reasons, but it's not always the right way or the best way.
So I went from working like 60-hour weeks for £1,400 a month to working 60-hour weeks for 50 grand a month. Yeah, great.
But you're still working the 60-hour week.
I'm still working 60 hours and I'm not actually getting the quality time with my son, and my son is growing up, and I'm not going to get that back. But I could scale back, treasure those last few years where he still thinks I'm like cool enough to hang out with, and he still wants to come on holiday with me, and he still wants to hang out and do stuff with me. And in a few years' time, I can grow it.
Yeah, and you can do what you want.
I can do that then. I can wait until he's 14, 15, 16 and go again. I don't need to be ambitious now.
Yeah.
It's in me, and I'm still finding lots of things to enjoy about the work and that's challenging me and being creative. But I do not need to push myself to earn millions, because I live a really humble life. Like I've got a nice-ish car. It's a nice car, but it's not like a 100 grand car. But I drive a nice car. I've got a lovely house. I can afford to pay the mortgage. My son's at a good school. We go on holiday a couple of times a year. Nothing particularly fancy, but we go away and get some sunshine. That's enough.
Yeah.
That is way more than I had 6 years ago. That is more than I ever thought I would ever have. And so for me, when I got that perspective, and I was just like, well, why am I chasing multiple millions that I don't need to be happy? I was happy when I was poor.
Yeah.
So actually, I'd rather just be happy and comfortable for a few years. And if I really feel it in me that I want to grow something else, I can do it, because now I believe in myself, and I've got the contacts and the people and the brand that I could try pretty much anything and figure it out, and you'll make with the right people.
Of it. I think what I love, if you want to, and what I love is that you've worked out your enough number. I talk about an enough number to all of my clients, because lots of people come to me and go, I want to make 7 figures. And I'm like, do you? Let's work out why. Like that purpose that you were talking about earlier.
Is it just to impress other people that you don't care about? Or
it's because the internet's telling you that's what you should make. Let's actually work out what you want for the life you want. And then we go towards that. And I much prefer that. This enough number. But I love that you've simplified business, because I think more people need to do that. It can feel so noisy. And we need to simplify it all.
And I think no part of your businesses gets the best of you when you're dividing yourself so much. I was exhausted from going all over the country because, you know, when I travel for business, I'm not just thinking about the travel time. I'm thinking, well, I need to sort childcare out. Because my son's going to be there and his after school clubs or his hobbies and things. And I've got the pets at home. And I'm like, my energy as well as someone who's neurodivergent, like I need some recovery time if I've gone and done like a day in London and I'm peopled out. Like, oh, I'm so exhausted. So for me, like there was so much that I needed to balance. And I value my life. And a lot of it probably stems from the fact that I lost my dad when I was very young. So my dad passed away from cancer when I was 10 and he was only 41. And that's only a year older than I am now. So I'm like, the more I was getting close to that number, I was like, am I really living though? Or am I just in this hamster wheel that other people have created for me that I don't want to be on? You don't even want.
You can get off a hamster wheel that is the 9-to-5 corporate and put yourself straight back on a business hamster wheel. You really can.
You're worse when you're working for yourself, you become so hyper focused on it. And I see it time and time again with my friends that move into entrepreneurship, and their romantic relationships suffer, their parenting relationships suffer, their friendships suffer because they become so obsessed with their business, and everything they do and talk about and think about is their business. And that's fine. And I'm not like, you have to have that kind of obsession.
You've got to at the beginning, but it's when it lasts too long, I think. Like,
or you're obsessing about the wrong things.
I got off the treadmill during the whole, you know, you've got to multi-7 figures, you've done this, you've done that, you know, you've got the best-selling book, you've done all the things, you've got invited to NECA.
Ticked all the boxes.
All the stupid things that people say you're supposed to do. I saw that like in a blinding flash, like, what am I doing? This isn't who I am and it's not what I want. And I was looking up at people that I had admired for years and going behind the scenes of their lives and seeing the relationships break down.
Estranged children.
Yeah, and going, this is not what I want. And I literally jumped off and just decided to go my own path. It's why you don't see me with a lot of multi-7 figure people. It's not my life. It's not my world.
And it's never been for me. And I think that was one of the things with the LinkedIn training was I was working with all these people who could afford to pay me $3,500 for a few hours of training. And I was like, as lovely as that is, and as fascinating as those people are, they're not my people. Yeah. And I'm not aspiring to be in rooms with those people. No. My people are the small business owners who are working for a comfortable life, who want to do something that has purpose, that fills them up, that gives them the life they want with their kids. And that's what my community is full of, those people that just, they want enough to live comfortably. They're not aspiring to Necker Island. They're not aspiring to be tycoons.
They don't need all of that.
And those people, they're only paying what's like £65 a month. And what they get from the community, you know, I'm obviously getting that money and paying a team, but I'm like, that's enough for me though. Like, that's affordable for the right people. Yeah. And I want to, my overarching thing is I want to help the person I was 6 years ago when I had so many questions and no one to ask, or I needed so much training and couldn't afford it. Yeah. I want to help those people. That's where it all came from.
And you are doing that. I hear amazing things about the whole all the time from lots of different people.
I'm yet to hear anyone say anything horrible about it, or maybe it's just not made to my ears, but it's a really positive place. Yeah. Yeah. I wish we could kind of like make the whole world like that, but it wouldn't be so special.
Maybe we can. Thank you for being here. It's been such a good chat. I've taken so much from it, and I know that other people will have. I've put about the whole in the show notes so that people can see and go and explore. But yeah, it's been really lovely to speak to you.
It's been amazing. Well worth the long drive.
Thanks for listening to Making Money Online. If you want to start your online business journey, you can get my free course, Fabulous Foundations, right now in the show notes. I'll see you next week for another episode.